In the dead of night, under a sky choked with storm clouds that mirrored the turmoil in young Alara's heart, her parents dragged her from their crumbling farmhouse, her screams swallowed by the howling wind, sold like chattel to a shadowy trader for a pouch of silver that promised to fund their desperate quest for fertility treatments in a world where children were currency and barrenness a curse. But wait, dear reader, from the bustling streets of New York or the misty lanes of London, if this tale of betrayal, redemption, and unexpected family grips you from the start, hit that subscribe button now and join thousands who've discovered the power of stories that twist the soul. Don't miss out, subscribe today and let's dive into the shadows together. Alara's world shattered that fateful evening in the remote village of Eldridge Hollow, nestled deep in the Appalachian Mountains where whispers of old superstitions clung to the fog-shrouded trees like ghosts unwilling to depart. At just 18, she had been the dutiful daughter, tending the sparse fields and mending clothes by candlelight, her lithe frame hardened by years of labor under a sun that rarely smiled upon their impoverished land. But infertility had been her family's silent scourge. Her mother, after birthing Alara as their only child, had endured miscarriage after miscarriage, each loss etching deeper lines of despair into her father's weathered face. They blamed the land, the water, even the gods, but in their desperation, they turned to the village elder's twisted lure, that selling their barren daughter could appease the spirits and grant them a fertile heir. Alara, unaware of her own body's betrayal until the village healer pronounced her womb as empty as the harvest silos, became the sacrificial lamb. Bound and gagged, she was handed over to Harlan the trader, a gaunt man with eyes like polished obsidian, who promised to ferry her to distant cities where women like her fetched prices from wealthy patrons seeking servants or worse. As the wagon rattled away into the night, Alara's tears soaked the rough burlap sack over her head, her mind racing with visions of chains and degradation, little knowing that fate had a lumberjack's axe waiting to cleave her path anew. The journey southward was a blur of jolting roads and stifled sobs, Harlan's whip cracking against the horses as he muttered about profits in the bustling ports of Charleston. But on the third day, as they skirted the dense blackwood forest, a labyrinth of towering pines and hidden ravines infamous for swallowing travelers whole, a storm descended like divine wrath, thunder roaring as if the heavens themselves protested her sail. Lightning split a massive oak, sending it crashing across the path, and in the chaos, the wagon overturned, Harlan's curses cut short by a branch that impaled him through the chest. Alara, bruised but unbound in the wreckage, crawled free, her heart pounding as rain lashed her face. Freedom tasted like mud and blood, but terror gripped her, alone in the wilderness, with no food, no shelter, and wolves howling in the distance. She stumbled through the underbrush, thorns tearing at her dress, until exhaustion claimed her beneath a fallen log, where she dreamed of warm hearths and kind hands that never came. Dawn broke with the sound of an axe thudding rhythmically, a steady heartbeat echoing through the mist. Alara awoke to find herself staring up at a giant of a man, his beard wild and streaked with gray, his broad shoulders straining against a flannel shirt stained with sap and sweat. Jonas Blackwood, the lonely lumberjack of legend, stood over her, his 4 children peeking from behind his legs like curious fawns, twin boys of 10, rambunctious and freckled, a girl of 8 with braids like ropes of gold, and the youngest, a toddler boy clinging to his sister's skirt. Jonas had lost his wife to a fever 2 winters past, leaving him to raise his brood in a sturdy cabin carved from the forest's heart, his days filled with felling trees for the distant mills, his nights haunted by solitude. He scooped Alara up with surprising gentleness, his calloused hands steady as he carried her to his home, where the children bombarded her with questions while he brewed a herbal tea that chased away her chills. "You're safe now, lass," he grumbled, his voice like gravel under boots, "ain't no one comin' for ya here." At first, Alara flinched at every shadow, expecting Harlan's ghost or her parents' regretful pursuit, but days turned to weeks, and the lumberjack's world enveloped her like the forest itself. She learned to chop wood alongside the twins, Theo and Finn, their laughter infectious as they raced to stack logs higher than the last. She braided little Myra's hair while teaching her songs from the village, the girl's wide eyes reflecting an innocence Alara had thought lost forever, and she cradled baby Luke through teething nights, his tiny fists gripping her as if she were the mother he never knew. Jonas, gruff but kind, shared stories by the fire, tales of his youth sailing the Atlantic before settling in America, his dreams dashed by love and loss. Alara confided her betrayal, the infertility that marked her worthless in her parents' eyes, and Jonas waved it off with a snort. Worth ain't in what ya can birth, girl. It's in what ya build. But twists lurked in the undergrowth. One crisp autumn morning, a stranger rode into the clearing, a slick lawman from Eldridge Hollow, badge gleaming like a predator's tooth. He claimed Alara was stolen property, that her parents had reported her kidnapping after Harlan's body was found, demanding her return for a bounty that could fund their treatments. Jonas's face darkened like storm clouds, his axe in hand as he stood between them. She ain't goin' nowhere, he growled, the children clustering behind Alara like shields. The lawman drew his pistol, but Theo and Finn, clever lads, had rigged a log trap from their play, sending it tumbling to disarm him. In the scuffle, secrets spilled. The lawman was no true officer but a cousin to Harlan, seeking to claim the merchandise for himself. Jonas subdued him, tying him for the real authorities, but the encounter unearthed deeper wounds. Alara discovered a letter in the man's satchel from her parents, not regretting the sale but offering more silver if she was returned fertile or not. Heartbroken, she fled into the woods, questioning if trust was but another illusion. Yet Jonas followed, his children in tow, finding her by a rushing stream where she wept. Family ain't blood, Alara. It's choice, he said, kneeling as the kids hugged her tight. In that moment, she chose them, forging bonds stronger than chains. Winter brought another twist. Mira fell ill with the same fever that claimed her mother, and Alara, drawing on village healers' lore, brewed remedies day and night, her hands blistering as she fought for the girl's life. Jonas watched, his eyes softening, revealing his own hidden pain, a fifth child lost in infancy, buried under the pines. As Mira recovered, Alara realized her infertility was a misdiagnosis, the healer's old ways flawed, and in the spring, she felt life stir within her, a secret she shared with Jonas under blooming dogwoods. But fate twisted again. A fire, sparked by lightning, ravaged the forest, threatening their cabin. Jonas rallied loggers from afar, Alara organizing the children to douse flames, their unity saving not just their home but the community. In the ashes, Alara confronted visitors, her parents, drawn by rumors of her survival, begging forgiveness with empty pouches. She faced them, Jonas at her side, the children her armor. "You sold me for nothing," she said, voice steady, "but I found everything." They left broken, while Alara bloomed, birthing a daughter amid summer's warmth, her family complete. Years passed, twists fading into legend, the lumberjack's bride who tamed the wild, her infertility a myth dispelled by love's fertile ground. And in Eldridge Hollow, whispers warned of selling souls, for sometimes, the forest claims its own, turning betrayal into unbreakable bonds.